Bucky's Basement. Bucky's Basement.
Enjoy the night. Only make sure you're ready for the day of tomorrow. The time of death and rebirth.
Yes. Of the Wicker Man's return.
Welcome to this week's episode of Bucky's Basement. I'm Bucky, and as always in the basement with me today, I have Old Boy.
Yeah.
And Juicebox. And we are back with our episode of Casting Cage. It is our chronological series of reviewing Nick Cage movies in order. We are currently up to the second movie in 2006. The first one you guys listened to probably a week or two ago. It was World Trade Center.
Right.
Kind of brought us down a little bit. Huge actors, had a big director, big hype around it, and then it let us down. So now we're back in 2006 for
a month later. It came out a month later.
We're a month later for The Wicker Man, a remake of a 1973 film
Of the same name.
That is currently 2006's Wicker Man, starring Nicolas Cage. The reason we're here is currently sitting at a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 3.8 on IMDb.
That's wild. This is like, is it the lowest? I don't know. I feel
it's not the lowest, but it is like collectively. Normally, you get a low Rotten Tomato score, somewhat middle of the road IMDb score.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen both of them consistently low.
Is this the second remake of a movie from the 70s that he did? Because
Yeah,
Gone in
Gone
60 Seconds
yeah.
was a remake,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
I
Has
guess
he done
that's
any
true.
other remakes?
I don't know. I don't know. At least to this point, if there has been another remake of a previous film that Nick Cage is into. But let's go ahead and get into it because I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty long episode.
Yeah.
We have a lot to unpack here. If you've seen The Wicker Man,
God bless you.
God bless you. And if you haven't seen him, press pause on this podcast. Go out there and find 2006 Wicker Man. Watch it. Entertaining. Don't get me wrong. And then come back and listen to our podcast. Let me get into the director of this film. It is Neil LaBute. Here's the thing you need to know about Neil LaBute. He has done nothing you've ever heard of other than this movie.
No, he did something else.
Did he?
Yeah.
Please look it up for me real quick, and I'll continue to talk because I looked this up today. Have not heard or seen any movie, TV show, or play that he has written or directed.
Play? He's doing plays too?
No, he was originally doing plays, like Broadway plays. Then he gets into film. Then he gets into TV.
Okay. Well, I'll take your word for it, but I feel like
No, I agree. I don't feel like there's a lot there. And he was like the writer on some stuff, but even I didn't really recognize much of that. And I mean, I don't know.
I got you.
Maybe there's a reason.
Yeah, I think there is a reason. All right, so in 2006, we had The Wicker Man come out, right? What month was this? You said it was a month after World Trade Center.
Yeah, it is. It is September
First, I think.
Yep, September 1st, 2006.
All right, then let's find out, before we dive into The Wicker Man, what else could you have gone to see in theaters instead of this movie? Because, again, we're in September, October. We're building up to
Primetime movie season.
Halloween time.
Right?
I think we already talked about, if I'm not mistaken, The Descent.
The Descent's still in there. You could have gone to see World Trade Center, naturally. Invincible, it's a football movie.
I remember that, about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. Crank, do y'all remember that movie with
With the transporter?
the transporter? Yeah. Little Miss Sunshine, didn't see it. The Illusionist, it was like a knockoff of The Prestige, I feel like.
Okay.
With Edward Norton. Talladega Nights was still out. Beer Fest was out.
Oh, man.
That could not have lasted that long in the theater.
Probably not.
What,
but
Beer Fest?
Yeah,
I do like that movie.
That seemed like it was cult DVD. I feel like all Broken Lizard stuff would it had its little run in the theater. I think probably Super Troopers had the longest run in the theater, and then everything else was straight to DVD.
Yeah.
That's probably right.
Maybe.
That's probably right. Snakes on a Plane.
Oh, really?
man.
Yeah, dude. Idlewild, the Outcast movie, Devil Wears Prada, and Superman Returns, which am blank on that.
Dude, I saw that in the theater and it was fucking bad. And it was
Yeah.
like one of the movies that was like, I feel like 3D was like kind of starting to make a comeback or something at that point. And it was like, it was the type of movie where only certain parts of it were in 3D. So you were
Yeah.
like taking the glasses on and off. It was a terrible experience and a terrible movie.
I remember those. It was like the very first time I encountered 3D glasses was like a Nightmare on Elm Street, and it was at the Hollywood 8 or whatever we had in Hermitage, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I remember going in, and it was one of those things where like not the whole movie's in 3D, and like you just have to figure out the parts, and like
Dude.
they like signal you to put on your 3D glasses now.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty obvious like which parts were in 3D. Like, I feel like. Because it would get real blurry and weird looking if you weren't like, if you didn't have the
Yeah.
glasses on. So you saw Freddy's Dead in the theater with the
I did.
3D glasses?
I did.
God
Yep.
damn.
Yep. I was not supposed to be in that movie. I'm pretty sure it's one of those things where it's like a bait and switch on your parents. I was like, I'm going to go see like Freaky Friday or something, and it
snuck
ended up
in.
like sneaking into the other movie.
Those are the days,
I mean,
dude.
God, yeah.
It
Jesus.
wasn't that time where
How'd
they.
you sneak in and get the glasses?
That's what I'm saying. I don't
Riddle
think
me
it was
that.
the time where they were handing out glasses. I think the glasses were just in a bin, and
Okay.
like it wasn't like they were checking your ticket, making sure you were 18. Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, still my favorite Friday the 13th movie of all time.
Number 2 is the best.
Well, I know it's Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare is awful.
It's not a Friday the 13th movie either.
What do you mean?
Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare is a Friday the 13th.
Oh, sorry,
movie?
Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Subliminal,
fuck
dude.
off.
Subliminal.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
bro.
Do
No,
not pull me into this.
We're
shit.
not talking about this.
All
but-
right, we are
but
talking about 2006's The Wicker Man. All right, let's get into the cast real quick. The reason we're here each and every week, Nicholas Coppola, also known as Nicolas Cage, he plays Edward Malice in this movie. He is basically a highway roadside cop.
Not
right in like a small California town or something.
I thought it
right?
was like Montana.
I thought it was the same place where City of Angels ended.
Oh.
Good point.
I was like, oh,
Interesting.
yeah. I was like,
Interesting.
All right, also in this movie, Ellen Bernstein, awesome. She plays Sister Summer Isle.
she's great.
Yeah, she is.
She's
she is
a-
great in so many
Everything,
movies.
yeah.
Everything that she's in. I actually got to see her speak one time at
Really?
the Music City Center. I was
Hot?
like, no, she's old. Like, I was like, the only movie at that time before I really got into a lot of other of her movies that I knew her from was Requiem for
I
a
know,
Dream.
God.
You know,
Of course.
and I was like, I want
Come on, Ma.
to see her speak.
Give me the key, Ma.
Give me the key.
Come on, Ma.
Anyway,
She was in The Exorcist, dude.
so I know
Yeah,
she's in
I
so
mean,
much.
she's
But
cool, man.
All right, Ellen Bernstein plays Sister Summer Isle. There's gonna be a lot of sisters in here, right? Because this is kind of one of those movies, and we'll get into it. If you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. Kate Behan plays Willow, Sister Willow.
I looked up her filmography and I
Nothing.
did not recognize
Yeah,
dick.
I think she was in one of the Matrix movies or something
Really?
like that. Yeah, she had some standout. I can't
she's
remember.
probably in the
but-
rave.
Seems
I-
like
probably so.
It seems like she would have been in a lot more.
Does it?
I mean, she's pretty,
She is like that. Hollywood looks for attractive, and she's very attractive.
certainly, but brother.
I know. I got it. All right. Next up, Molly Parker plays Sister Rose. She is the teacher, and she plays Sister something else that is like doing the landscaping.
I am hot for teacher.
Dude, me too.
Sister Rose, is that who you're talking
Sister
Yeah.
Rose, just her demeanor in this movie, like the fact when she's like, "Hey, I want to talk to you outside," after he goes off in the schoolhouse.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, dude, yes,
Take command,
Yes.
sister.
about? Yeah.
um,
Dude, I recognize her from like, do you remember that show Party Down?
Is
Yes.
she in that?
Yeah, she was in like maybe the first episode or something where like dude Ron or whatever the guy that worked there was
Yep.
like remembered her from high school. It was like tried to impress her. It was just like
Okay.
the awkwardness of that shit. I'll never forget.
she's also in House of Cards. Plays a pretty prominent role in that show too.
Okay, yeah, I knew she looked familiar, but she's great.
Yeah. Lily Sobieski. She was like part of my childhood. I feel like.
Same, dude. She was everywhere in
Was
everything.
she? I don't know. I was like looking up her filmography. And it's like, I've maybe seen a couple of these things.
The important ones, wasn't she like the girl in like movies like Jack the Bear? And that was like one of those movies that you forget about, starring like a young Elijah Wood, and Danny DeVito plays his dad, who's like a horror guy. He's on TV at night. it's about Nazis and shit like that, and like
Really?
Gary Sinise is in it.
Maybe
Dude,
I need to
Jack
watch
the
that.
Bear's in like an intense movie, but she plays like the love interest in that movie. I grew up with her. I feel like 2006 is the last time we see her.
I mean, dude, she seems like she disappeared.
Yeah, her last credit is from 2018, and it was like a movie that was made in like Turkey or something like that.
That sucks.
And it got terrible rate. It has a 1.9 on IMDb. So
Yep.
I mean, she's a good actress. From what I remember.
Also in this movie, we have a couple of surprises at the end. I don't want to get into it
And the
right
beginning.
now. And the beginning, and I do want to talk about that. But are there any other female actresses you want to bring up? I mean, it's like a full like
I mean, that's basically it.
every
right?
white woman you've ever heard of or seen in something in this show and that,
I mean, it is only white women in this movie.
right?
Yeah, you're right.
And Nick Cage. And in the beginning, this is great. For 2 seconds in this movie, did you guys catch this?
Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart is
Sitting at the diner.
Sitting at the table of the diner, and he gets up and like he's in the movie for 2 seconds.
seconds.
Oh damn! No, I did not.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him at all.
Massive actor, massive, and he's just sitting there, and he gets up and walks away. No lines, no anything.
It must be before he got big.
I mean, this came out in 2006. I feel like he was in The Dark Knight like 2 years later or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that.
I guess you're right. Maybe he was just on set randomly.
Yeah,
They're
he was just
"Hey,
like,
you
I
know,
want to be in this
It's like
movie.
friends with Nick Cage.
You think
He's
he was
friends
the-
with the director?
He's a truck driver, clearly, right?
That's his credit.
I mean, maybe he's the guy
Truck
that drives
driver
the
in
truck.
diner.
Maybe he's the guy that drove the truck into the car.
Oh my god, he's in on the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, he's just part of it.
Damn, that should have been a plot by Juicebox.
It should have been. Speaking of that, we're about to get into the plot of 2006, The Wicker Man. But before we get into the plot, we have to do a segment on Bucky's Basement we do each and every time we do a Casting Cage, which is we let Juicebox read the plot that you can find online, and then we kick it back over to Juicebox for a segment we'd like to call...
Plot by Juicebox.
A sheriff investigating the disappearance of a young girl from a small island discovers there's a larger mystery to solve among the island's secretive neo-pagan community.
That bitch was a sheriff.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I thought he was just like highway patrol or something.
I mean, bike cop.
It was like after
Yes.
he got off the bike, like scene, like she was like, "Do you want to be detective?" And I was like, "Is this how the cops work?" Like,
Well, let's talk about that
Okay.
here because I've got a question.
Yeah, so this week I am not going as out there as I did the last time. I feel like I threw people off and maybe even confused myself a little bit because I got the name of the title or the name of the
Brett.
movie that I was representing wrong. Anyway, so I'm just going to keep it simple this week. A cop way oversteps his authority in an attempt to have makeup sex with his ex who left him 7 years earlier.
Boom.
I mean,
Dude was hard up.
I mean, that's the only reason, right? Like
he was
had
down
a-
on his luck. Like he needed something, right? He needed a distraction, so he flies out to this island and he like goes and finds his.
Let's-
You're right, his hot ass ex. Like
That's
first
what I'm
of
saying.
all,
Like she disappeared from his life, and he was like broken. And then she's like, all of a sudden, I need some help. And he's like, oh fuck yeah.
anyway, all right, let's get into the plot of The Wicker Man. If you've seen it, let's open this thing with something that I like to call Bucky's establishing shot. I said Montana. You said California.
It is California.
It
It is California.
Yeah, they call it out.
I did not realize. Like I didn't
Yeah.
catch that in the movie at all.
Yeah, they mention it later
Something.
on that
Yeah.
like when he's at the island, and I feel like it says it like earlier. in the
Somewhere,
movie,
yeah.
But yeah.
You get a lot of like desert type stuff, mountains in the distance,
it's that like
roadside.
It's that city in the valley, like
Yeah.
that California, like Northern California type thing. Or
And I
something.
want to talk about this because this establishing shot is meaningful to me because I think that a good movie is made by an incredible roadside opening scene. And I was just trying to think of movies and like Google it, like what movies
What else?
open with like just driving down the road, getting pulled over on the road, like just
Christmas Vacation.
Super
got that-
Troopers.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say Super Troopers. I was going to say Taking Lives is one.
Okay.
Like the roadside scene in No Country for Old Men. Some of
yeah.
these like roadside like pullovers, shit like that. I think that's big in cinema.
Yeah,
And it's
it's
just impactful.
Yeah, and it is kind of like, I don't want to say it's easy, but it is a way to like set the like. Everybody's been in that situation more or less. It feels, like driving down a road somewhere and then like you get pulled
Yeah.
over. Everybody's been nervous. It's a way to like heighten the
Suspense.
the suspense.
Right off the bat. So we learn early that Edward, played by Nicolas Cage, is a highway motorcycle cop. In the opening scene, he pulls over a mom and daughter to return a doll.
Right.
Yeah, which I mean, when that doll fell out the window, I was like, "Oh, here comes our Raising Arizona scene where
Snatched
like the
it
cop
up.
just like, or the
He picks
person on
it
the
up.
bike
Oh,
just
yes,
snatches
that
it
is
up.
exactly what happened. He picks it up on the bike. You get the Raising Arizona scene. You're right. Then he pulls her over, and then you get
Makes him seem more like a badass than he is.
you get all these big trucks as he's talking to the mom and the daughter. You get these trucks driving behind him, and it's kind of like a premonition of what's about to happen. And I wrote down, you don't want to go down that road. Like, it's like, to me, it's like that road from Pet Cemetery where all the highway
Yeah.
trucks are driving all fast, right?
Yeah.
And then he's trying to return this doll. The girl throws it out the window. He goes to pick it up. So ultimately, he causes the death of the mom and the daughter
100% his fault.
because he is reckless and walking out in the middle of a road where a truck has a blind spot. They see a cop in the middle of the road. They have to swerve. They hit a car that's parked on the shoulder
Yeah.
to avoid the cop, and he kills the mom and daughter.
Did those people die?
Were they real?
Because they never found. They said they never found their bodies later on in the movie. Like he was like, did they find? He was like,
Yeah.
no, they didn't find any trace of them, either the burned out car or anything.
And you see him at the end.
Yeah.
Or are they twins?
And if you've seen this movie all the way through, you're like, what the fuck? Like,
Wait,
That's
the girl
too
that
ele-
was driving was at the end.
And the lady cop.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. All three are standing there, and that's like
Okay.
what's all dawning on him that like he's fucked.
Yeah.
But
wait, what?
yeah.
They're at the ceremony at the end?
The lady
Yeah.
cop definitely is.
Yeah. And the little girl and the mom.
Fuck. I missed
know.
that.
I know. Maybe it was in my version. Like, we all watch different versions.
I'm pretty sure they're like in the one that I saw too. The cop was for sure because I
sure.
didn't see her the first time. The first time I was like, anyway, let's continue.
All right, for the purposes of this podcast, we're gonna let's move through it. So, car gets hit, set on fire, blows up. Mom and daughter dies.
I mean, it's a head-on collision on a semi hits a parked car, catches fire.
Yeah.
We never learn what happens to the truck driver. Nobody gives a shit.
No.
But like,
So the next thing we see is Edward is back at his home.
Nick Cage.
Nick Cage. He's taking a break, right? He's
Well-
taking a break from the force.
because the car blows up. He's trying to save them. Car blows up, and
Then
he
a
wakes up at his house.
blonde-headed. You're gonna get a lot of blonde-headed women in this movie. A blonde-headed female cop comes to check on his mental.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Comes in.
says, congratulations on like the like he got promoted. Promoted for what?
That's what I'm saying.
There's no bodies.
Yeah, I don't like. Well, I mean, some kind of like injured on the job type. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Then
Trying to save something. I mean, how deep does this fucking conspiracy go? Like, how deep do these women at Summers Isle
Yeah. I mean, they're
have their
master
tentacles into shit?
master manipulators, dude.
Because
that
even-
honey must be the shit.
Even through this movie, that female cop is a female cop with a job in the United States.
Yeah.
Like, and she is like throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Long term mole.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But go ahead.
so he gets a letter. Female cop checks on him. He's good. He gets
Yeah, she delivers the mail to him. Like she delivers
yes.
all
Right.
the mail to him, which is kind of like a key thing there.
She brought it out of his mailbox, but probably slipped in this.
No, is that what it was?
Yeah,
I
she-
thought it was all stuff that. No, it was all stuff that had been supposedly mailed to the station that she was
Okay.
bringing
That's
over
it,
to him.
yeah,
Whatever.
something like that.
Because he was like, "Did you see who brought this letter to the station?" And they were like, no, we
That's
don't know what you're
right.
talking about." That scene, like the first time I watched this movie through, I was like, why is this lady so fucking awkward? Like, why is this scene so
Yeah.
awkward? Like, what does she like have a crush on him or something? She's being weird about it, but it was just like
something.
it was so weird. But the second time I watched it, I was like, oh shit, like no, she's just
There's a
in on
purpose.
it. And I wonder too, she like picks up his medication and it's like, they never really say what the medication was, right?
Right.
Like it was just some kind of thing. I wonder if they're like drugging him
Already?
or something. Like, I don't know.
Maybe. All right.
Because I have questions about what these people's at Summers Isle powers are, if they have any.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dude.
sorry. We can talk about it as we go on.
All right, so he opens a letter, and now he has something to do. We found out that it is his ex-fiance of 7 years who apparently had another kid, and now the kid has gone missing, and she knows that he is let me repeat, he is a highway motorcycle cop.
Right.
But he is going to solve this big mystery now.
Yeah.
And now he has something to do, another purpose for life, right? Regenerated, reinvigorated. You know, he's ready to go
Tap
again.
that ass. That's what he's trying to do.
That's right.
Yep.
Wet.
So off to so off to Summers Isle we go, which we learn is a female-ran bee island
Right.
Yeah,
Their
in the
main-
Pacific Northwest.
that has a
somewhere, right?
business. They have a online business.
They have a website, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, their main export is honey.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
nobody's allowed there. But they have an online business.
Yeah. Well, the only person that's allowed there is the pilot
Yeah.
that takes him there, who agrees to take him there. I mean, granted, he's in on it too, which you realize. But like at the time, he's like, I can't take anybody there. Like
Strict rules.
It's private land. He's like, I'll give you $100, and the guy's like, deal.
Done.
This may destroy my livelihood for the rest of my life. but
Got him
I'll-
killed, laid up
but
on
I'll
a beach.
I'll go ahead and take $100.
It's like, yep, you named my tune, dude.
Yeah. Which also, yeah. I mean, to jump ahead, the dude got killed later on in the movie. Why did they kill that guy? He did his job of bringing Nick Cage to the fucking
Exactly.
That
dude.
is true. Damn, I
Exactly.
didn't think about
They
that till
still
right
killed
now.
him. Like, what the fuck?
This fucking con.
It's so deep. It's so deep, and there's so many things that have to go perfectly right for him to get to the.
Exactly. Dude.
So many levels.
Anyway,
Anyway,
yeah.
all right, so we're off to Summers Isle. Prior to what we just talked about, there is a boat ride, and he gets flashbacks. This is where I learned blonde girls, red sweaters, and the truck.
That flashback or that his daydream is, I laughed out loud. Like he sees a girl standing outside the window, like looking out at over the ocean, and in his daydream, a truck hits her.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud.
Yep.
Yeah. So I love in that scene too that's like very deliberate, like he's holding up his phone and it's like doo, 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 like to show you that no, he doesn't have service
Exactly.
from this point on. So if you have any questions about why he's not trying to call anybody,
That's
Yeah,
it.
we get that. So anyway, as Juicebox alluded to, he gets to the island. He catches a ride from a delivery plane guy, the delivery guy who's
Right.
flies one of those little puddle jumper planes.
yep.
Hold on, real quick. Before he leaves, he goes and talks with a buddy at the police station. When he's walking through the police station, there's a missing persons poster hanging up with a guy's face on it, and it's the guy from the original film, which I thought was just a nice little Easter egg.
Oh, yeah.
But his buddy cop is the most sensible person in the movie. He's like, what?
Yeah, what are you doing?
No,
Don't do
dude,
this.
don't do that. That's dumb.
Yeah, he's like, don't even respond to the letter.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's
bro.
This
Get
bitch
real.
left you.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
yeah.
why are you even?
yeah.
And if
Yeah,
you go
she
look
had
for
a kid with somebody else.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, bro, don't do it. And he's like, that's dumb.
All right, so we're back to the island. Anyway, Nick Cage finally makes his way to the island. He gets off the plane, starts hiking up to a town, and I wrote, why is he wearing a suit? He knew he was going to an island. He knew there was probably a bunch of movement involved, like hiking, finding things, doing things. Why is he wearing a suit?
Because he's kind of cosplaying a little bit. Like, even though he is a police officer, he's not a detective. He doesn't wear a suit in his normal life. He doesn't have any authority at this place at all. Like, he's probably not even legally. I mean, maybe he's allowed to bring his like gun, like police
Maybe,
issued
yeah.
gun across state lines. I don't know how that shit works, but like, he has no authority. So I feel like he's trying to like present as somebody that has authority and is like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
intimidating.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He encounters people for the first time. Again, bunch of females walking up this hill, right? And they're like, hey, who are you? And he's like, I'm a cop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the best, this is my favorite line of the entire movie. He looks and he goes, I'm a cop. And this lady's standing there stone faced and goes, what does that mean? I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, he's like a police officer.
Yeah. And then the dudes are like carrying a dripping bag of something up the hill. It's like,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
is never revealed what it is, right?
No, and I love his guess. He says, "What's in there? A shark or something?"
Yeah. Because they're walking up from the water. It
everybody's
makes sense.
sitting there because everybody has to be on the conspiracy, right? So they're probably like, "This rube, dude. Like, yeah, we got you, fucker."
Yeah, we learn that ladies run the island, and that Willow invited him to the island. Obviously, then he enters the lodge. That's where we meet Sister Beach, or the Bar Maiden, which is I love that he calls her that in front of a bunch of women.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
like, "Man, fuck this," and she's like standoffish, gives him a bunch of shit, right? And then he asks for a room. Then he's like, "I need a drink," and she's like, "Here's some mead," which, don't get me wrong, look delicious. That fucking mug with the glass bottom where you
Yeah.
could see the mead going is like one of the weird. I've never seen anything like that.
Have y'all had mead?
Yeah.
I have had
Have
mead.
you? I
Yeah,
don't know if
Honey
I've-
Tree Meadery here
Oh.
in Nashville, Tennessee. It's
Yeah. I've not
delicious.
had it. I don't know if I've
It
had
is good.
mead.
It's very sweet, generally, obviously, because it's made from honey. But man, it
high
gives you-
alcohol content. too.
yeah, and it gives you like a, you know how different alcohols give you kind of like a different buzz. It's
Yeah.
like it's a different buzz. It's almost like, you know, it's like warm and happy type.
Okay,
kinda.
shit.
But
What's that?
then he slams that cup down on a bee, which, oh God. And if you've seen the memes from this movie or any scenes from this movie, you know that this is probably the beginning of his end, because she looks at him, and I love the way Sister Beach talks.
Yeah.
She's like, now, why would you go do a thing like that?
Yep, because I
And
mean that's their.
He's like, I'm allergic.
yeah, he's like, yeah. He made no bones about it. He's like, oh, I'm allergic.
Yeah.
He was very chauvinistic in this. Very
Oh,
like,
what- I mean,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. But this movie was, yeah,
He plays the part. My favorite, and another part of that scene where he just
yeah.
where he starts tapping the bar and he makes an announcement to all the women, like they
Yeah.
are just, you know, second rate to him.
Once again, zero fucking authority.
Yeah, and they know it. They're
And
like,
they
This
even
is a
say it.
private property that he just looks like trespassing on it. He's-
You're right. They did say it. He said, I'm a cop in California. And she looks at him stone faced and she goes, this is Washington. And he's like, yeah, well, it doesn't matter. I've got a gun. I've got a badge. I've got a suit on. I'm the only male on this island, which he knew about right then. He didn't know that there were
He's not
other
the
ones.
only-
No, he
Yeah.
didn't. He saw the dudes walking up the hill that were carrying
Yeah.
a
Oh, did
bag
he?
of
Yeah.
dead whatever it was. Which also, like, are the dudes they're like lobotomized or something? I guess is that's like what's going on, because like none of them can talk, right?
no,
like,
they seem awful dumb.
Yeah, they might have been lobotomized. You might be right.
But this is where, all right, and this is where we meet Willow for the first time, right?
Yeah, Willow, and we get Willow's explanation of why she left, and then we found out that she has the daughter named Rowan, and that's why he's there. He got that in the letter, but she expands a little bit, and then the night falls, and he follows yet another blonde girl with a red sweater through the woods at night into a barn,
yeah.
and I'm like, what? Like,
There are things about this, like the way this movie was like shot and looked, that bother me so bad. Because like he goes into that barn and it's dark outside, and even if there was a full moon, I can't remember if they established that in the movie or not. There is so much light everywhere, like
Yeah.
shining on him and shit. And it's like, you played this scene fucking wrong. Like, it should have been way more dark and way more fucking spooky and way more like, you
Yeah.
could have made this like scarier and like more intense.
yeah, give him
But
that World
you-
Trade Center darkness.
I mean,
Something.
seriously, like, but it was just, there was so much light just coming from like who knows where, and that bothers me as like a person that makes videos. And it was just like the tone of it was wrong. It's like there was no like, I wasn't nervous or scared or
all.
anything.
All right, so now we're back to the movie. That's the next morning, and we finally get to meet Sister Honey, which is Lily Sobieski. And Sister Honey is, you know, kind of like she's under Sister Beach. She kind of helps out in the lodge and everything.
Sister Honey gives off the vibe that she is dumb as shit.
A little bit, yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know if that's bad to say, but she is just like
Yeah.
throughout the movie, she just acts like she doesn't have a clue like what's going on, is not totally there. Like,
But I think she does. For some reason, I think she does. In the same scene, in the breakfast scene, we get pictures of the flower girls all over the wall. It's kind of a clue. We learn that the flower girls are like part of some kind of
Ritual.
festival thing that they do.
Yeah.
Sister Beach says there's 2 different festivals. One they have pictures of, but then the ones that they don't, she said Festival of Fertility, and she's like, it's way too intimate to take pictures of that. And I'm like,
yeah.
it sounds horny as fuck.
Sounds like that scene in Midsummer at the end.
Yeah.
That's some shit you don't need to be seeing in person.
like these ladies getting it on with lobotomized dudes.
Yeah, that's it. Fertility. But anyway,
Sounds hot.
so then you get the when you leave, will you take me with you scene when he walks outside. Another one, Sister Honey, you're right. She's kind of dumb, but this is
That
like one of those
conversation-
things where I got very confused. I was like, is she into him? Is she like wanting to leave the island? Is she like pretending like they're fucking with her? Like, are they?
It doesn't read like
It's
in
clumsy.
any way. Yeah, exactly. It's clumsy.
All right, so she points him to the school, which he's going to get he needs more clues. He's a detective now, so he's got to go
Right.
investigate everything. So he goes up to the school because that is where, obviously this child would probably be.
Right.
So he walks through the woods, up the hill and through the woods, which is
The direction.
the weird directions. It's like, right then I'd be like, no, I'm out. We get introduced to this school scene in an incredible way.
Will you tell us what man represents in his purest form? Yes.
Phallic symbol, phallic symbol.
School's really changed since I was a kid.
What are they
It's worth
teaching
it,
these
yeah.
kids? Like, what? I don't
mean,
get it.
I mean,
yeah.
this movie is very much like, or their whole cult is just men is bad. Men are
Yeah,
bad.
basically.
We
Yeah.
don't need men except for to procreate.
Yep.
That is
And
what
put
just
logs
made
on a
me.
truck and capture sharks.
Yeah, which was kind of how the place that Wonder Woman came from. Was like, right?
Yeah.
Like, is
Yeah,
this
yeah,
like
yeah.
is this a Wonder
Amazonia?
Woman prequel?
The teacher is named Sister Rose, yet another flower from what we learned in the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone is named after a plant
He's like,
or
that is
like
it.
something
Yep.
from, I guess, except
Nature.
Sister Honey.
We also learned that the teacher, Sister Rose, is kind of a bitch.
In the best way.
She's standoffish to this male who has just interrupted her classroom to get some clues.
I mean, she just recognizes that he has no authority. Also, like she's just like, I don't give a shit what you say. Like you
Fuck off.
You're here
Another-
fucking with our life or whatever.
Yeah.
Another
whatever.
big dick chauvinistic part in this scene is when Nick Cage just walks up and erases her chalkboard to write a name on it.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, he just walked, does not ask permission,
tells him-
doesn't give a shit. There's a paragraph written on this chalkboard.
Yeah, dude. And all right, so he finds the charter or whatever, the roll call, and sees her name, and he's like, "You're liars." He's calling the kids liars. He's like, "You're all liars."
There's blank face. They do a good job when they look at that picture. There's like, no,
No, man, everybody's in on it, dude.
But I mean, also like you say, it's like big. He's also like starting to get to like a extreme frustration point. I feel like at this, even though shouldn't be here, he's overstepping his boundaries. Like he's still trying seemingly to do the right thing. And he's just like getting like the runaround from these ladies. So he's like, that's like where he's starting to come to like a breaking point, maybe.
Right, because everybody's fucking with him, but like
Yeah.
he's also just not a good. I guess he's not a detective in real life or in the story anyway. But like he's just a dumb motherfucker.
So he's with the teacher. She's like, hey, we should probably take this conversation outside. And that's where I got like kind of hot vibes. So she goes outside.
What did you think was going to happen?
I don't know. But then she starts talking to him like, hey, here's what really happened. She died, but we don't say
Right.
death. And then he's like, and then she said, she'll burn to, he's like, how did she die? And she said, she'll burn to death. That was a
Right.
pretty cool scene.
Yeah.
A pretty cool little like thing in this movie from the outside conversation. So he leaves the school, walks down the hill, sees a bunch of people plowing a field, and it's the same woman that we just saw as the teacher. So I'm assuming, and he was like, hey, didn't I just have a conversation with you? And I'm like, first of all, she had black hair. She has red hair. She was dressed as a teacher. You just walked down a hill.
He's dumb.
Yeah. Like, that,
She did not have red hair though, because I thought that the first time, and then when I watched it again, she has like some kind of scarf or something, but she still has like dark hair. It's like the same thing. But her
Okay.
name is Sister Thorne.
Sister Thorne and Sister Rose. I think they're twins.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
Don't go to an island by yourself, buddy.
Then he goes back and talks to Willow. He finds out, wait, our daughter? What? Now he learns that this is his daughter. The plot thickens.
And the way she drops that just so casually in the
Nonchalant.
conversation and then just like looks at him like a certain way, it's like, this is so fucking bad.
So bad.
But then at the same time, it's like when because I had never seen this movie before. I didn't
Right.
like watching it for this was the first time. So after finding out that they're just manipulating him, it's like, oh man, is this like, I don't want to give it the credit, but it's almost like, is this like a weird intentional bad acting type thing? You know what I'm saying? Like where she's just like,
goading him along.
yeah, something like that. Like
They're like,
'cause
we
it's-
got you.
Because it's so bad. The way she like looks at him and just drops it in the conversation, and he's like, dumbstruck. But it's almost like because of the way
He's
I don't know.
gullible.
Like I guess I'm like giving this movie too much credit, maybe because
Yes.
it's like it feels like there could be layers there, and if it was maybe a better actor, like the layers could have played a little bit better.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
It's the sting.
yeah, everything
bee
has to go
sting.
perfect.
It's the bee sting.
Oh, my God, damn it. Let's just shut it down. Like we're not gonna say anything else about the movie. Like this isn't Sting, but bees.
All right. Anyway, so the next thing we see is the plane flying around the island. He's like, oh, shit, I got to get to the plane. They got a radio on board. I got to start, calling people or whatever. Then we get down to the plane. Plane doesn't have a pilot. Then we get the diving for Rowan scene. Another hallucination, the in his arms thing.
One of the
that
best
you
scenes
called out.
I think in the movie is he has a dream and then a dream inside the dream.
Yeah.
And this happens.
God damn it!
I mean, that
It's
was,
the best quote of the movie.
and I did like that. Like for me, when he would, like, thank God it was a dream because like he sees this kid underwater that's obviously not moving or anything. And he's like
Screaming her name.
screaming her name, like she's gonna like wake
Rowan,
up, and he's like,
Rowan, I'm coming after you.
and I was just like, God damn it, are you serious? But also, like,
Face pale white, like she'd been down there for
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude.
exactly. And then like, it was a dream within a dream. I appreciated that little scene. But like honestly, like just to jump ahead a little bit later when he finds the pilot dead,
Right.
like the guy is very obviously dead. And he's
Yeah.
like shaking him on the arm like he's gonna like wake him up. Like
he had like X's over his eyes.
his
and
eyes have been
shit.
pecked out by birds.
Yes, it was crazy. All right, the next thing we get in the movie is the doctor/photographer scene, where we get another
Right.
clue.
Dude, she's got this book sitting out called Rituals of the Ancients, and man, I literally like rolled my eyes. I was like, shut up.
They
Like,
had this book printed out. The front was like printed in like in a way that was like a mass printed book.
Yeah.
So let me throw this out there. This is all part of the plan, right? Like her leaving behind the description of a certain ritual to mislead him because it's never
Yep.
about like
that. Yeah, dude.
there are so many like
Everybody's in on
took
it.
like it took him 7 years to just plan like all this shit.
Just
out.
that. Yeah, dude. It's ridiculous.
Good thing he didn't go back in the house that he was previously in,
Or
they
follow
would've-
her.
they
Or,
would've
like-
changed.
Yeah, or follow her, or like anything.
I mean, seriously, like so many things
He
have to
just
work
keeps
out
going
perfectly.
forward. He never goes
the,
back.
The beekeepers come get her, and I was like, "Oh, I'd be following them." I'd be like, "What the? Where are they going? What are they doing?" But no, he breaks in the house, and they planned on him breaking in the house.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So next, this is where Edward first meets the bees. Right, we're on a bee island. He is like trickling through all these little bee houses and like this like when they show the overhead shot, it's great. It's like signs
dude.
or like the shit you cut in like cornfields. It's like bee.
Yeah, it's like a honeysuckle, or
honeycomb.
Honeycomb,
Yeah.
and like that's how they have their other bees, and we learn that he's allergic, and he starts having hallucinations again.
And this is also one of the scenes where they've got the CGI bees, and he's running, slapping the bees, and it is so fucking comical to me. It's just so bad.
You think? So he gets straight up like My Girl, and then he wakes up in what we've been waiting for this whole movie, Sister Summer Isles' house or whatever.
Yep.
Real quick though, let me just say, just another like thing that like shows how bad of a police officer this is. This guy, highly allergic to bees, will die. Rides his bike right into the bee area, crashes into a fucking beehive. Like,
Yeah, dude. He's
like
the dumbest.
seriously, dude. Like,
Hey, it's all for his
maybe
his daughter.
Maybe that's what they do. They go to the mainland to pick the dumbest dudes.
I mean,
Also, this movie takes place in about a day and a half.
it does.
yeah.
Yeah. May 1st is Wicker Man Day if you guys want to celebrate it.
Oh yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right,
no,
dude.
a Nick
do
Cage
say that.
night too.
I'll start.
Let's do it.
I'll start
bring the
keeping
bees.
twigs.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we are in Sister Summer Isles' house. We learn about her. We learn that men are for breeding on the island. We have a nice conversation between the two, and then he asks her permission to dig up Rowan's grave.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that Rowan is really in there.
Yeah.
He says there's a lot of shady shit going on in the island. She was like, nah, I don't think so. And he's like, yeah, there's some shady stuff going on. And she's like, nah, I don't know what you're
All
talking
that's
about.
planned out too.
You can
dude.
do whatever you
Yeah.
want.
Well, and what is his fucking plan there? Like, he's going to dig up this dead child and just contaminate whatever evidence may possibly
Yeah.
be there because he's here, like, outside his jurisdiction.
Yep.
I do love that scene, too, because she is so condescending to him because she is just, like, obviously, like,
She
playing
should
him.
be.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
She
Yeah.
plays
she's
the perfect role in this movie.
Fuck yeah. She plays
Yeah.
him, and she's just like, oh, it was nice talking to, what did she say? Like, somebody from a civilized
Yeah.
Someone
society.
from
Yeah.
a normal
That's
society.
what it was.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
classic.
great. All right, so then he goes and digs up Rowan's grave, finds a little doll in there. No
Is it
Rowan.
the doll from the beginning?
I wondered that too.
No.
And it was burnt.
Ooh.
That's why I wondered if it was like that was like some kind of thing. But what,
Callback?
like,
No.
Why is this burnt?
what would be the fucking point of? Yeah.
Yep.
Classic line too, though.
So he finds a doll. Then what happens again? Then he chases another blonde-headed girl with a red sweater at night for like the second time, and chases her down a tunnel. And again, he goes into water.
I mean, does he think that like, or maybe they do, like this kid has just the same clothes on forever?
Ever? Yeah, dude.
Like,
yeah.
She's been missing forever, but she still has a
Wearing what she was wearing in the picture.
So I want to pass through this real quick. So he gets stuck in the thing, and then Willow comes and saves him, right? And
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about because I wrote it down. The scene where he goes back up the stairs, and they're walking along the path, and he gets the doll, and he picks it up, and he looks at her, and he goes, "How did this get burned?
Yeah.
How did it get burned?"
That's the best.
It's the worst acting. It's really bad. Then we go back to Summer Isles' house and the scene with the dude in the bed.
dude. Yeah, I sent you guys that picture late night.
Yeah.
There's no
Her house
explanation.
is weird. The dude in the bed is like missing an eye, like has half his face fucking like.
I'm gonna put it on the screen. Like
Yeah.
it's not even. Yeah, it's like sloth eye. He's like sloth. Like his eyes like all droopy and
Yeah.
smashed down to one side. And he has like boils, like all or like lesions or some shit. Like,
Maybe
all over
that's
his
her
body.
like husband or something. that
Her-
She's like keeping at bay. I don't know. Then we open another door and there's a girl covered in bees.
Yeah.
Was that a hallucination or was that real in her house?
I mean, I have a lot of questions about what is real and what isn't in this movie, honestly. But like, I don't know. I guess I kind of assumed that to be like some sort of weird ritual that they were doing within the house to like baptism by bees or some shit.
Something,
I don't know. I'm just making that up as like headcanon.
Well, when he wakes up from the bee stings, also the doctor's like, "Oh, we healed you the old way," and I'm like, "What the
He
fuck's
has
the
like
old
3
way?"
big bumps on his arm.
Yeah, which they never elaborate on.
Yeah.
But
No.
he does seem. He seems very like out of it and like kind
Yeah.
of like even more disheveled than before the rest of the movie
100%.
after that. But I
Yeah.
don't know if that's because he was like near death from being stung by so many bees
Right.
or like
What
what
yeah.
they did to him.
Right.
So at this point in the movie, the frantic search for Rowan is so on. And
He's
it's
going
like
door
a
to door.
montage of him like ripping masks off and telling people to quit lying. And
Oh my god. Yeah, and he's like interrogating these people, and they just start laughing at him.
Yeah, dude.
Everybody is just laughing at him.
he goes back down to the plane, finds the pilot. The pilot's dead, eyes plucked out, as Juicebox said. And then there are masked women everywhere, like standing out in the bushes, in the sheds, everywhere, like
All with weird masks on.
all
Right.
preparing for this one thing.
Ritual,
And then
right.
what does he do? He goes back to his little
Lodging.
one bedroom lodging apartment on
Right.
the top floor. And
He gets his gun, right? Doesn't he
Yeah,
get
gets his gun.
and but he's like had enough, and he's coming down the stairs and he sees like Sister Beach talking to Sister Oak. And this is like he straight up just punches her in the face.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
she says
It's
something
the first
smug. She
sucker
says
punch,
something
yeah.
like smug to him, and he just like walks up and decks her.
Yep.
So let me like throw this out there. Like, this is obviously intricately planned, right?
Yeah, dude.
Like
the whole thing.
everything is so
every single
like
thing.
everything has to work out perfectly for him to get to where he needs to get to in like kind of the mental state, I guess, or condition that like, because it was it was about him coming there voluntarily or something like that was the other like
Part
thing
of
or
the
whatever.
part of the requirement.
Anyway, so many things had to happen for seemingly the past 7 years, right? Or ever
Right, yeah.
since Willow disappeared from his life. So like, I feel like there were a lot of meetings about that, right? Like
Had
there
to
was
be.
like so many planning meetings to like get everything right. So I wrote like a little scene about kind of like one of
had-
those planning meetings,
what
and maybe
had to
how it
happen.
had to go.
Yeah.
So if you guys are down, I think we'll read through this scene.
Yeah, let's table it. Let's
do it.
do a table read real quick about how this came about in the movie The Wicker Man.
Okay, so they're all sitting around in a big table in Sister Beach's house. Who knows? It's probably some weird table with dudes or whatever. Sister Summerall's like, okay, Sister Beach, here's the plan. Sister Oak is going to talk shit about how you're getting fat and how he could play a whole family of bears instead of just one bear at the ceremony. Now you're just going to kind of make a silly comment about how the costume does seem to shrink each year. Yes, Sister Beach, you had a question?
Yes, sister. Is that all I'm going to say? Sister Oak went at me pretty hard.
Yes. Well, you'll probably like this next part. If everything goes according to plan, which is insanely complicated, Officer Malice should be walking down the stairs looking a little rough. I want you to give him one of those sassy lines you're known for, and then give him the smuggest look you have. And then he'll knock you out and take your bed costume. Is there any questions? Anybody have any questions?
I'm sorry. What was that last part again?
You'll give him a comment about how he looks like worse for the wear or something. You'll figure it out.
No. After that part.
Oh, and then Officer Malice will punch you directly in the face, rendering you unconscious so he can steal the bear costume.
Okay, sister. Not to question the goddess that overlooks the island, but is this one detail that's like super crucial? Couldn't I just leave the bear costume out where he could find it? Like, just skip the, jokes about my weight and the physical assault to my face?
No, I'm sorry. It must be part of the plan. As Sister Summer says this, Sister Honey knocks over an entire carafe of mead onto Sister Summersdale's dress. Sister Honey, we need you to attack Officer Malice as he's trying to put the costume on.
Okay, sister, I can do it.
And then Officer Malice will punch you in the face and drop kick you into a wall of pictures.
Okay, sister.
I'm sorry, my child. It's all part of the plan. Sister Summersdale smiled as she looked around the room, trying to decide if anyone else needed to be knocked unconscious by Officer Malice. At last, she nodded. Well, if there are no further questions, I think we all know what to do.
And somebody else does get knocked out. There's a few
I
sucker
know.
punches.
He
man.
punches a lot of women. He punches that woman in front of like the sacrifice area.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I mean, he straight up knocks out 3 women. In
Yeah,
this movie.
dude.
Like, I'm not saying It's not somewhat warranted,
But,
because
yeah.
he's about to die. But
Dude,
it's,
after he knocks out Sister Beach and then Lily comes in and they get in a fight, I mean, that kick is like straight out of like
Mortal Kombat.
that
Johnny
Mortal
Cage.
Kombat. That kicks out of like fucking that Quentin Tarantino movies where it gets like crazy. That kick
It's
is like The Substance when Demi
Yeah.
Moore kicks Margaret Qualley across the room.
Yeah,
like,
man.
what the fuck? I mean,
yeah,
It's a kick, dude.
right into the wall. It's like into her face and into the wall.
It's worth watching.
all right. Then we learn that the celebration of this culmination of why Nick Cage is on this island is beginning, and all the women are putting on masks and donning dresses and their headgear and their everything, and they're dancing and going along the path, and they're like
Right.
getting ready for this, and you don't know what's about to happen, and you think there's going to be a sacrifice of a young child
That's what it looks like.
to bring the honey back to the island for prosperity over the next year.
And he's got the bear costume on, which I'm guessing is symbolic, bears and honey and all that shit. But
Well, he's sneaking in.
he's sneaking in, but they all know it.
Yeah. So, again, they had one bad season with the honey, and this is
And they're
it's
like, yeah.
straight to human sacrifice.
Yep.
Yeah.
An intricate plan, human sacrifice.
So if they didn't have a bad harvest, did they just not call him up?
I mean, I guess not, right? They
I
just
guess not.
waited.
They're just
till,
playing.
like,
Well, then what the fuck was the end of the movie? I feel like they were setting up for like.
for the next bad harvest.
Yeah, in case there's another bad harvest, man. They
okay.
got to
I got
sacrifice
you.
to the gods.
Anyway, all right. So we're kicking off a celebration. Like old boy said, he dresses as the bear, saves the girl. Right, punches another woman in the face.
Right.
Takes the girl off of the pole that she's apparently going to be burned on.
Part of the ritual.
Do you think anybody ever gets to a point if they're like in a cult like this and they're putting on a mask and they're going up to a giant effigy where someone's going to be burned? Do you think people just look around like, maybe this is not the best idea?
Yeah, dude.
Maybe I'm in over my head.
Yeah.
Maybe
Is this right?
like
Is
it's just so
Is this the
insane, and
way?
everybody is just going along with it
Loving it.
100%.
Loving it.
Like,
Also, if you had the only gun on the island, wouldn't you have? I would have checked that shit like every 30 minutes
he
to make
checks
sure.
it? He checks it at the house when he wakes up from the bee stings.
remember
but he
that one.
Yeah, he didn't check it later.
so the other thing I saw too, and I don't know this from experience or anything, but apparently, like if you have a gun that's full of bullets and a gun that doesn't have a bunch of bullets, there's a noticeable weight
weight.
difference.
Yeah.
like
I bet.
I'm sure. Anyway, all right. So he saves the girl.
Dumb cop.
He saves the little girl with the red sweater. They're running through the woods. He sheds the bear costume.
Right.
He's chasing this girl who's running and running and running. And he's old and whatever. He's getting tired going up and down hills. And then she leads him right back to where he saved her from. And then she runs up to Willow and she says, "Did I do good, mommy?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, y'all trained this girl like well.
Everybody
you
had
know
been trained
they're
well.
about to murder a man, and you were what 8 years old, and you
mean-
just
I mean, it's
like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Every society, civilization had human sacrifice at some point.
Sure,
She lights the fire.
she does
Later,
like the
yeah.
She
fire.
lights
dude.
the fire that burns it down. Is that really his daughter, or is this like just
I
like
think
an
it is.
elaborate hoax to like get him like?
They said something about being connected by blood. So I
Yeah,
think it
I
is.
remember that. But before Ellen Bernstein says that Willow's her daughter, so obviously the little girl's her granddaughter, she says it has to be connected by blood.
Yeah.
And it has to be somebody from like the mainland or something, because like
Yeah.
aren't the like sex slaves like connected by blood to the other people on the island?
Yeah. It didn't seem like it had to be that complicated, but but it is.
Yeah, no. Anyway, all right. The discovery scene is great. When he comes back and discovers he's the one getting duped, it's great. Ellen Bernstein kills that scene.
They surround
They
him.
surround him. He's like, stay back, whatever.
Willow has his bullets.
It's. I think it's great. And then they
He
break.
kicks a couple of people there too.
He does.
Yeah. I think it's dudes
at
though.
least
I feel like
fights.
it's the dudes that they unleashed on him.
Then they break his legs off scene.
No,
or
in
off
the,
screen.
in the version I saw, they break his legs on camera, and it's pretty brutal. Like
Is
they
it
break his
misery,
femur.
like shit?
They don't. No, it's not his ankles. They break his femurs
Okay.
with like a sledgehammer. It's like, ooh.
They break his legs, drag him up to the Wicker Man, which is a massive what do you got, Burning Man statue that they must have built over time.
Well, in my version too, dude, they put a helmet over him and pour in the bees, and you've seen the meme.
Yeah.
Yep.
They put
Not the beast. Look, we got a carved pumpkin
not
for
the
Halloween.
bees. Classic scene. But they do show that in the version I saw, and then they use the EpiPen on him.
Yeah, to bring him back.
Bring him back.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you can torture him more because he has to be alive when they like kill him.
Right,
Or-
but it's like, I don't know, it's just a lot.
I did not
Yeah.
see any of that.
Yeah, that wasn't in the version I watched either. Apparently, that's the unrated version, which came out like on DVD, like after the fact, which is so fucking crazy to think about. Like that whole the meme that everybody knows from this movie was like not even really associated with the original
The
version,
original release.
which I guess they had to like cut out to get it to PG-13 or something. Basically,
Okay.
like
I got you. Yeah.
So they lift him up into the Wicker Man. The little girl goes and sets the Wicker Man on fire. Everybody in the crowd is chanting, "The drone must die.
yeah,
The drone must die."
Right.
Which I didn't get that
A
part
drone
of
to
it.
be. I don't know.
yeah, it's like a worker bee,
Yeah,
right, or
something
something,
like that,
or is
yeah.
a drone like a breeder bee or
Maybe,
something?
yeah.
I don't
gotta
know
look it
enough
up.
about that either.
And then, all right, so he's screaming, cut scene. Then we get the whole 6 months later thing. Biggest surprise in the movie to me, James Franco and his buddy are
Jason Ritter, yeah.
and Jason Ritter are at a bar in like Hollywood.
Yeah, and they're in the police academy, so
Yep.
they're picking cops. I
that's
guess
what I said. So they're into police officers.
because they need another part of the ritual is like it has to be like a good or bad or something. There's some
No,
light-
it was like they had to come there by their own
Free will.
Yeah, and I guess they knew that like these people that work for the police academy were
idealistic or something.
or something like more. Yeah,
prone to be a hero.
So it was it was Willow and Sister Honey that went out because they were obviously the youngest ones. They're picking up new dudes,
Yeah.
starting new relationships, waiting for the next harvest.
Bad
if it goes
harvest,
bad,
yeah.
they're going to get them out to the island. So it basically starts again.
Yeah, and then then the biggest surprise for me that the film was dedicated to Johnny Ramone.
I've got something about that. So it says
good.
the film is dedicated to Johnny Ramone, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Right?
Right?
it's like not that Johnny Ramone.
No, it is that Johnny Ramone. And get this. Did you look it up?
I did not.
You
No,
did you look it
I
up?
didn't.
All right, get this. So it says for Johnny Ramone at the end.
Right.
And I was like, I have to look this up. This is what I learned. The 2006 remake of the horror film The Wicker Man is dedicated to Johnny Ramone because he was a close friend of the film's producer and star Nicolas Cage. Ramone introduced Cage to the original 1973 film, which he had a profound and lasting effect on, and the remake was dedicated to his memory after his death in 2004.
Wow.
So Nick Cage went to this director
Right.
and said, I want to remake The Wicker Man and star in it because my buddy Johnny Ramone just died.
and turned
And
him
he
on to
got
the film.
that shit done. That is insane to me.
So he just found somebody that would make it
I don't know.
and would
I need
like
to look
rewrite
further,
it because this
further
dude
into
is
it.
like because the dude director is also credited as like writing the screenplay also
Right.
based off like the other one or whatever.
Yeah, so Nick Cage and Johnny Ramone were close friends because they shared an interest in horror movies.
All right.
And they hung out together and watched horror movies.
I love that.
God damn it.
Right.
That's awesome.
It
That's
is
so
awesome.
fucking awesome. Nick
One of the Ramones and Nick Cage probably had tons of friends, right?
I'm sure.
Still does to this day, but I bet he was.
he grew up.
But he was a fucking rock star back in the day. Anyway, all right, that is our plot read through of 2006's The Wicker Man. Before we get out of here, we have a couple of segments we like to do. The first is tagline, where we take the original tagline, which you would find on the movie poster, we read it to you, and then we recreate the tagline in a more appropriate way.
Okay.
So, without further ado, Juicebox, what was the tagline for The Wicker Man?
The Wicker Man. Some sacrifices must be made.
Okay.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
Yeah, like
That's
me
simple,
watching
straight
this
to the
movie
point.
twice.
That's a good one for a movie poster.
The Wicker Man. I'm sorry, I'm allergic.
I originally had The Wicker Man. the bee sting. But I also wrote down The Wicker Man. Blondes just have a little more fun.
But what about Sister Rose?
Yeah. So, the hottest one in the movie. I'm not into blondes.
The Wicker Man.
When you leave, will you take me with you?
When you leave this theater halfway through this
Will
movie.
you take me with you?
The Wicker Man.
God damn it!
The Wicker Man.
All right, another thing that we do before we get to our ratings on 2006's The Wicker Man is movie marriage. What two movies you think best describe what you would go see if you've never seen The Wicker Man? I'll go first, and I sent a text to these guys that said I'll be highly disappointed if we all don't have the same movie for at least one of them.
I don't know that we will, but
I
let's
don't
see.
think
All right,
so.
so my one movie that I thought we would all have the same is Midsummer.
Oh, okay. I mean, I get it. It's
Yeah.
it's
No,
paganism.
I don't have that.
I don't have it either.
All right, my other one is My Girl.
I like that. My marriage is Matchstick Men because homeboy blindly believes it's his daughter, or like he's doing all this for, and it is his daughter, but it's just he's just blindly going along.
That's a good call.
And he's getting conned the whole time. And my other movie marriage is Guarding Tess because homeboy has Doug Chestnut detective skills.
Oh man, don't do Doug Chestnut.
I know.
Oh, that's
Man.
our boy, dude.
I know, dude. But
That's not my boy, but
I
man,
know.
he's still better than this, dude. He made it to the Secret Service. Like,
That's-
come on.
And he found Tess at the end down a fucking like PVC pipe.
And he didn't lose his bullets and could shoot a dude's toe off. To get the
he would
fucking
win.
answer.
He would win the fight over this dude for sure.
Anyway,
He had this cigarette lighter in the car. That's detective work.
so I guess I went a different direction. As much as I hate to say it, like this movie kind of gave me like Shutter Island vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like a
Okay.
weird detective story, and you didn't know exactly which way it was going to go. Like,
it's a good match.
not done as well, obviously. And then maybe like The Village or something.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a movie where like there's a secluded society, or I guess you could just say the original. Like, but whatever.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so let's get on to our rankings because we have spent enough time on this 15% Rotten Tomatoes and 3.8% IMDb score film. I know what you guys are going to put, so
I don't know if you do.
okay, maybe I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say they're like Ellen Burstyn carried the movie. I was highly entertained. I watched it all the way through twice, not stopping. Enjoyed every. Honestly, you said Lily Sobieski did not do a good job. I think all the women in this intimidated the shit out of me. I was highly invested both times from beginning to end. I'm going.
All right, I'm a little tired, a little wired, and I think I deserve a little appreciation.
That is my middle of the road because we came out of World Trade Center and this was a fucking breath of fresh air from that movie.
Yeah. I agree with that.
All right, old boy.
All right.
Every fucking
This movie's terrible. There's even Ellen Bernstein cannot save this fucking movie, man. I like good conspiracy theories and stuff.
movie. Not with her Braveheart fucking mask that she has on.
No, dude. Yeah, dude. I like good conspiracy theories, but like the more people you have involved, the more a conspiracy falls apart. Conspiracies have to be a small group of people. It's just so bad. The acting's not great. The plot is it's too dependent on too many things happening. It's just a goofy movie to me.
See, this movie frustrates me because like the first time I was watching it through, I had never seen it before. And the only thing in my head is all the memes and like the rating and like how this is like the worst Nick Cage movie, yada, whatever. Like, you know, it's like notoriously bad. And I'm watching it the first time through and I'm like, I see that it's bad. Like, I understand it. There is bad acting. Like, I understand why people are hating on it. And then I'm watching it through a second time and I'm like, there are like a lot of subtleties here that are just like the ideas are there. There are good ideas there. The actors are not able to pull it off, and the director is not able to pull it off.
The writing.
But yeah, and I guess the writing too, but I feel like I don't know. It's just like it's almost there, and I can see the idea of like a movie that would be awesome.
Sure.
If it was just shot slightly different, the tone was a little bit different, and it was just like in the hands of a more capable director.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there is a lot of bad acting. But like I said, there's a lot of good acting, and there's subtle differences. Like I brought it up before, like the Willow, she does so many things. I'm like, this is bad acting. But then if you think about it, like in the wrapping of she is trying to play a character that's tricking him, which is maybe not necessarily like her normal thing. So it's like,
Right.
It's coming off, I don't know. Maybe I'm giving it too much credit. I am almost going top rating on this, but I'll go middle.
All right, I'm a little tired, a little wired, and I think I deserve a little
But I think
appreciation.
this movie deserves a fucking watch. As bad as it is, and as much as you hate it, you have to admit that you were entertained watching it.
I
love
laughed a
con
lot.
movies.
See, you found
it's funny.
entertainment in it. You know, it's like
but I'll never watch it again. But it is worth watching. I
fair enough.
agree with you.
You're not mad. I am mad about watching World Trade Center.
Right.
I am not mad about watching this at all.
That's fair.
I enjoyed watching this movie. I enjoyed like taking notes on it. I enjoyed thinking about that dumb scene that I wrote like as
Right,
a deleted scene. Like I enjoyed this
You enjoyed
movie.
it.
We do
way
this
more than I have.
We do this for
in a while.
entertainment, and that's why we're here each and every week, and we're bringing Nick Cage movies to you.
And I know this is going on a little long. I watched the original. I did a small write-up on the original real quick. And it's better on every scale. It takes place in like the United Kingdom, which lends itself better to paganism. There's mass nudity, which is a huge plus. So much so that I was thinking about maybe joining a pagan cult. And there's or leading one. It has a better sense of foreboding and unease, and there's no romance piece into it. He's just a police officer, and he's engaged, and he's a virgin. That's part of the the thing.
And they're like, people in America would never believe that. in
Exactly,
2006,
yeah.
So we're not going to do it.
Especially
And,
not Nick Cage.
And he's just trying to solve a case. The townsfolk, they play better roles at leading him along. And it's Lord Summersisle, and it's played by Christopher Lee. He kills it.
No shit.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, man. I might
he's an
go back and watch this.
He's an interesting dude in real life. There's no bees. It's all about like agriculture and fertility gods and nature. It's shot
So it's
better.
all ladies except for
No.
Christopher. Oh,
No, there's dudes. Like it's
Oh,
just
okay.
it's just
it's like it's just a weird cult.
yeah, island. And it's shot better. It's got some weird music, which takes me out of it sometimes, but that's the 70s. There's no bear outfit. It's a fool outfit. So when they're leading him along at the end, he's in a fool's outfit, which is just more fitting. It's just
Like a jester? or
yeah, like a
something?
jester.
Okay.
Yeah. So like he steals a jester outfit, and it's just very well done. And when he's coming to understand that he fell into a trap, it's just like, and he's wearing the fool outfit. It's like, it's perfect, dude.
Damn.
And then there's a cool shot at the end where the Wicker Man head falls off. There's a sun in the background. I don't know. It's just kind of cool. I dug the original.
Okay.
Damn. Imagine being like powerful enough to be like, I love this movie. I want
Right.
to remake it. But I'm going to totally fuck it up.
Yeah.
Because I
going
didn't
to-
hire the right director and I didn't like.
I'm going a different direction with it. Yeah.
This
I mean,
movie supposedly had a $40 million budget.
I saw that, and it made $38 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was all the star power of Nick Cage back then. Speaking of star power, we do this Casting Cage series for you guys, and up next in our series from Casting Cage, I'm going to go ahead and break it off for you guys. The next movie has a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Moving on up.
Yep.
Whoa.
We have a 5.3 out of 10 on IMDb. And I'm going to go ahead and read you guys the plot for the next movie that we're going to we're gonna review in this series.
And you guys guess what movie it is?
Yep. Years ago, motorcycle stuntman Johnny Blaze sold his soul to save the life of a loved one. Now he transforms into a fiery, avenging agent of justice at night wherever evil roams. As the only one who can walk in both worlds, Johnny is charged by Mephistopheles himself to destroy Blackheart, a demon that wants to overthrow Mephistopheles and create. I'm already not looking for this podcast because of that name.
Yeah,
Mephistopheles, and create a worse hell than the one that currently exists. Up next, 2007's Ghost Rider.
So also paganism.
It's going to be exciting. We do these each and every week wherever you're listening to us on your favorite podcast network. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Bucky'sBasement.com, at Bucky's Basement, on any social media platform. Google Bucky's Basement Podcast or Bucky's Basement. If we're not up at the top, we're not doing it right. We enjoy doing this. We enjoy bringing these movies to you. And, we want you, if you get caught up and, some girl catches your eye and you end up like on an island and, you're walking around and you notice there's a lot of women, a lot of men not saying anything, and you're kind of getting lost and you have a purpose though. You really have a purpose.
Right.
That purpose is not, I repeat, that purpose is not to find that little girl with that red sweater and blonde hair. Your purpose is to knock that woman out and then slap her and wake her back up, and you look her dead in the face and you say,
not the bees. Tell your mama that.
Sugar never let her so sweet and I die for you. I do you.